Hey guys, welcome to the Sandbox audio experience. This is our first ever podcast that you're tuning into, so thank you for doing that. We are sponsored today by KOMATSU. If you're looking for some heavy equipment, choose KOMATSU. Also, you're sponsored today by Extreme Sandbox. Heavy Equipment Adventures. Thank you, KOMATSU and Extreme Sandbox. We've got a great show for you today. We are interviewing Carrie Ford. She's with the Roseville Visitors Association. And she stopped by today, talked to us for a bit, and we learned a lot about what she does because it can be very helpful for a business like yours if you're looking to join or if you're looking to travel to Minneapolis, St. Paul. So thank you very much. All right, we are here with Carrie Ford.
Right.
Yes, I got your name. No, just kidding.
It's like the car.
Right. And she's with the Roseville Visitors Association.
Correct.
And we're going to do a conversation talk today. So, Carrie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
Adam. I thank you for having me in the Roseville Visitors Association. I grew up, I'm a Minnesotan. Who isn't from this state? I grew up actually born in Rochester, Minnesota, and then my family moved up to White Bear Lake, go Bears, and graduated from White Bear, and then I moved up to Duluth, where I went to the University of Minnesota Duluth and graduated from UMD and had an internship at Visit Duluth, and
Sure.
I have been in the hospitality industry ever since, going on almost 25 years.
Wow.
Crazy.
Outstanding. So you grew up in Rochester. How long were you in Rochester for? Just as a
5
kid?
years. Yeah.
That's where I'm from. I'm down by that area.
Oh, okay.
As well.
Country
So-
Club Manor is where I grew up.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I know where that is.
Yeah.
Where I grew up, I grew up in Lewiston, which is like 20 minutes to the east of Rochester.
Okay.
And it was amazing. When I grew up, we could sometimes, when I finally turned 16, we could go to the big city of Rochester, and we went to the Galleria.
Right.
Because it had a movie theater there.
Okay.
And that town has stoplights, which was fantastic. We have one stop sign in our entire town. Okay, so you went to Duluth.
I did.
Outstanding. I lost to them in football as well.
Okay.
They beat us every year, so that's good to know that you're from there as well.
Yeah. No, Duluth is a great city, and I, it was when I graduated from high school, my parents were like, well, if you go to college, I wanted to go to the University of Minnesota,
Sure.
but they said I would have to live at home, and I'm like,
No
no
way.
So then I'm like, I'm going to Duluth. So I basically went up there to find my freedom, and that I did. So.
How did you decide to choose that major?
Well, let's see.
Or did you walk into it?
Hospitality. Actually,
Yeah,
my
how did you
major
do
was, originally I started off in business and finance, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm horrible at math. I switched my major to communications and then public relations, because there was not a lot of math requirements for that degree. So I decided to do communications. I was very involved in the school, I did tours for the campus. I was a public speaking, like a liaison for my professor, really involved. And I just really enjoyed it. And I was very fortunate to get an internship with, back then it was called the Duluth Convention and Visitors Bureau. Okay. And it was, they were looking for an intern for the public relations director. And so I did that for 5 months, and it worked out so well. They created a job for me in membership.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I had a job right after I graduated college, which was great.
Which is not common for a lot of people.
No. And back then it was exciting. Like, I'm going to make like $17,000 a year.
Yeah,
That's
what?
awesome.
Roll in.
I'm aging myself a little bit, but
well, it's better. Maybe you had friends that, like, after college, like, I'm still going to McDonald's to flip burgers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Figure out what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. And it, the great thing is Duluth is a city that sells itself just because it's a port city on Lake Superior.
It's a destination city.
It was gorgeous. So I was really blessed to work up there for almost 6 years. And when I was there, I did membership, but I also was in the group tour department. So I started to work with motor coach bus tours.
Sure.
So people, I worked with a lot of tour operators from across the United States that were looking to come to Duluth to visit. A lot of people come to Duluth as they're heading up to Canada or the Canadian Rockies.
So it's on the way.
It's on the way, but it's also a destination within itself. So it was really exciting, and I had a great mentor. Barb Oswald was my immediate director, and I learned a lot from her. So, but it was a great team, and but I needed to move south because it was just getting too cold. So when I tell my friends that, they laugh, my friends that live on the East Coast, because they're like, well, where did you move, Texas? I'm like, no, Minneapolis.
Just 4 hours south.
So, yeah, so not far at all. So, but, you know, to me, I mean, that's a 2.5 hour difference from Duluth to Minneapolis is about 10 to 15 degrees. So, and you actually have a little bit more of a spring and a fall. And
right.
So yeah, but it was a really good experience I had up there, and then I became a meeting planner for Carlson Companies for 2.5 years, and traveled a lot and learned a lot. Didn't really have a life. I was on the road quite a bit. My clients were Merck and IBM.
Wow.
So I planned
so those some big companies.
Planned their national sales meetings, which was anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 people. So it got to a point I just wanted to have my life back. And then I had the opportunity with Roseville. And at first I was like, well, what are you going to do with a first-range suburb? Because I'm used to Duluth, which sells itself and has like Superior. But then looking at the location, I'm pretty proud of the tagline we came up with, perfectly positioned. We're so close to everything Minneapolis and St. Paul has to offer.
Right.
So, so I've been there now for 18 years.
So the complete tagline is Roseville.
Perfectly
positioned.
You got it. Didn't mean to cut you off, but
I love that.
Yeah, thanks. Yes. Or smack dab in the middle.
Do you get credit for coming up with that? Is that going to be like your legacy?
I feel
Carry forward
yes.
the slogan of Roseville.
Perfectly positioned. Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
How did you even find out that Roseville was looking for this position? Or
I was approached by a gentleman back then. His name was Tim Ward. He used to be the executive director at the Detroit Lakes Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I knew him just from various gatherings up in northern Minnesota in my time in Duluth. He found out that I was in the Twin Cities, and he reached out to me, and I turned down the position twice, and then finally came back, and he's like, we just really want you to come on board.
Carrie was playing hard to get.
I was.
I like that.
So then I came on board, and I've been there ever since. So
18 years.
I know. That's like unheard of. Like I tell that to a millennial and they're like, oh, we'll only stay like 3 or 4 years, you know, but there's something to be said about when you have a passion for what you do, when you have the flexibility to do what you want to do, when you have a great staff you work with, when you believe in your area and your destination, it just makes it a lot easier. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is technically your role? What is your
Director of Sales and Marketing. So what I do is I help when I tell people in a nutshell, because I still have friends that are like, I have no clue what you do. So, but
me? What do you do?
I know what do you do?
I let grandmas come play on heavy equipment. It's fine. No,
exactly.
So what do you do, Carrie?
So my role as Director of Sales and Marketing is to oversee our, I have a small staff, it's just 2, one of which handles the social media, and then her name is, actually she starts in 2 weeks.
I know, we just talked about this.
I know.
I want to talk more about that in a second.
Super excited to have Melissa come on board. And then Shannon Thomaser has been with us, I want to say, for almost 7 years now, and she handles our sales. So I oversee those 2, but then also my responsibility is to attend various travel shows across the United States to try to get people interested to come to Minneapolis and St. Paul, but then when they get here to stay in Roseville hotels. So that's interesting. I am more or less helping promote St. Paul and Minneapolis, and of course Roseville. But in the end, you have to try to entice people to come here in the first place. It's enticing people to come here, and then once they come here, to have them stay in our community, just because we're just 10 minutes from downtown Minneapolis and St. Paul. And our hotel lodging tax rate is almost 5% less than downtown St. Paul or Minneapolis or Bloomington.
So lodging is cheaper, basically.
Lodging's cheaper and parking is free. So
It's free. You can park anywhere you want in Roseville.
You don't have to pay those crazy prices like you do downtown.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then you avoid being downtown.
Right.
When you can just go downtown, do your stuff, and then get back to
Exactly.
Roseville.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I also oversee all of the marketing components. So doing ad buys, working with our graphic designer to create our visitor guide that we publish annually. Oversee the website, work with tour operators, non-fair events at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds.
Okay.
Also working a lot more with travel bloggers and hosting them in our community as well too. So we were looking to also create a signature event. So that will be coming up sometime this year.
What's that mean? What's that? What are you doing with that? What is
Well, we are going to hopefully keep our fingers crossed. We're going to be working with Anderson Race Management to put on a 5K here at Rosedale.
That's big. Thing.
Yeah.
It seems like every town is doing some type of 5K.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. So just with everything new that's happening here, which you're well aware because this is your new home too, just to bring a lot more awareness and exposure to Rosedale and possibly doing a yoga event in addition to the 5K. So stay tuned.
Oh, I like that. It's like a teaser.
It is. It's a teaser.
I love that. Okay. So Roseville, you're saying Roseville is this tier 1 suburb.
Right.
But you do have the state fair.
We do.
Which is
right in our backyard.
Am I incorrect? So correct me if I'm wrong. It's the second largest state fair in the nation.
Right. Texas is the first.
I knew that.
Good job.
Yeah, Texas number 1 and we're number 2.
Yeah. And it has to do, and the thing with Texas is theirs, the duration of their fair is much longer than ours. I think theirs is almost a month where ours is just 12 days. So if they shorten theirs up, we would probably be the first. So, yeah. So it's great. But the thing with the fair is that it is, like you said, it's right in our backyard. It's just
literally
3 miles south of us. It's in Falcon Heights. It's a little bit in St. Paul, but it's mostly in Falcon Heights. And our hotels are the closest to the state fair. I mean, there is one other hotel that's off of Bandana Square, but in regards to a large concentration of hotels, we have the most that are close proximity to the state fairgrounds. So, but there's so much going on at the fair. You got like the Minnesota Horse Expo. You got
that's what people, not to cut you off, but that's what people don't understand is the state fair. That area is open year round.
Yeah.
Mechanic shows and car shows.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, they have like 70 plus non-fair events anywhere from, they have roller derby and they have CrossFit events and they have consumer shows and car shows and horse shows and bike races and 5Ks. And I mean, it's really, there's always something going on at the fairgrounds. So.
I will tell you this though. So we're in the fair every year. We're part of their parade.
Oh,
so we
okay.
have our fire truck go in the parade.
Oh, you were the ones that hit me with the water.
We are the ones that hit you with the water.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So we spray we spray in the state fair, but I am only accustomed to it just being this mob of people. We went there in like January just to go to their offices are there.
Right.
It is so eerie to be in the state fair when there's 2 cars in the entire area.
Oh, I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, you're just walking around going, oh, there's a building over there. Usually you wouldn't see it. It's behind people.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, no, yeah, I love it. Well, that's cool. So the Roseville Visitors Association, how did that even get started? Like, is that something? Sure.
It was actually back in 1998.
Oh, so it's fairly new then.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking.
Yeah. So back in, 1998, the reason why it originally started was Roseville's home to the Guidant John Rose Minnesota Oval, which is a world-class speed skating facility. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to bring more awareness to the Oval. And they thought a good way to do that would be to implement a hotel lodging tax that would help them promote. So the city collects the tax from the hotels. It's a 3% lodging tax that's implemented. Okay. So the residents don't fund us. The city does it. it's a tax that's collected when you check into your hotel. It's that additional 3% tax. That's how we're funded. So they started, the original concept was how to bring awareness to Roseville and to the Oval. Well, as we grew and we opened in 2000, actually in Harmar Mall was our original offices. We just, we definitely brought some events to the Oval. But I think the challenge we had is there are so many user groups that utilize the Oval. It's really hard to try to get, like, if you want to bring in a tournament or something, because, they have the rights to those ice times and everything else. So
you have to work around, you're always working around what they're
correct. Doing. But, for us, it's like, okay, we definitely promote the Oval, but let's also really look at what we have to offer here. And it's our location is so close to everything. We're so close to downtown Minneapolis and St. Paul, and Como Park being right in our backyard, and Gibbs Farm and the Minnesota State Fair. Why don't we really start promoting, hey, stay here when you come to the Twin Cities area? And so the shift kind of changed, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 years after we opened. And we're definitely more of a... for us, we're a smaller staff. There's only 4 of us. But I feel like we give a powerful punch just because, we kind of have an advantage compared to other communities and cities that have convention and visitors bureaus. Because there's quite a few in this area. I think there's a total of like 17 CVBs, like myself. I mean, there's Egan and
that's what I was going to ask, because Roseville's not the only one that's come up with this idea. Every kind of city has
St. Louis Park came on board, I want to say 5 years ago. There's quite a few of us. I think what makes us unique is just the fact that we do border both of the major metropolitan cities. So, we definitely, I feel, have a little bit more of an advantage that way just because of our location and close proximity.
Yeah, Roseville's better, guys.
Yeah,
you heard it here first.
Roseville rocks.
So who do you guys report to? Are you just an independent organization, or do you report to the city?
Board of directors, actually. So we are considered a nonprofit organization. So we are governed by a board of directors. Which is, we have members that are, the mayor is on our board, the city manager from Roseville, but we also have members from the University of Minnesota Continuing Education Conference Center, Minnesota State Fairgrounds, St. Paul Chamber of Commerce. So it's the hotel community, the Courtyard by Marriott, the Radisson Hotel. We do have people that, we have a board member who is with Associations North, though she retired, but she still wanted to be involved and active. And a gentleman who is a lawyer, but lives in the community. So, it's a wide a range of people that sit on our board, but it's a good collective, cohesive group, and they're very supportive of what we do. So we are governed by the board. The city collects the lodging tax for us and acts as our fiscal agent, but we are not city employees. So I think there's a lot of confusion with that.
Which is what you were telling me off camera when you were in Harmar Mall and people would come in and say.
Yes. So when we used to be in Harmar Mall, I think people were very confused on what you do and who you are.
Yes,
exactly. When you have a couch in your office and you have mall walkers there since like 8 a.m, they're going to come and take a little snooze and
it's
siesta.
A long walk. Yeah.
It is, yes. Or they think that you're the mall office, or where are the restrooms, and why are my taxes so high? And it just kind of got to the point where we just found a nice new home in Rosedale Tower. And
you're away from that.
Well, it wasn't really a good fit for us, and this is just a better fit. So not to have the daily interruptions of very unique and odd questions, which, of course we welcome. But we're not, like, I don't know about your property taxes. You'd have to address that with the city.
I get the same questions here. I don't know why people come in. And
I can only imagine.
It happened again. We were talking off air about this before, but I had a kid come in again last night. Is this place like for free? What And I just started like twitching. I almost had an aneurysm. Yes, those $100,000 pieces of equipment.
Right.
Yeah, just jump on them. That's how
I just
life.
want to just hang out here
how life
for my
works,
free time
man.
and just talk to you. So sorry about that.
No
And that's what happens.
That's
the
what
life when you work
did.
inside of a shopping center. So.
I did have a guy ask how much it is to buy one of those. I'm interested in buying one until I told him what the cost was.
Oh, and I'm sure he was like, yeah, I'll
go back to
rent.
my Xbox, I guess.
Right, exactly.
So the RVA, is that an organization that local, to stay on topic, do you join organizations like this? How would you get involved? Who gets involved?
We love partnering with people. You know, the beauty with
partner with you.
Yes.
Okay.
The beauty with the Roseville Visitors Association, we're not a membership-based organization. Since we're funded by the local hotel lodging tax, whatever we can do to try to entice people to come to our area, it's great. So we form partnerships, and our goal is just to get people to stay in our hotels. So, partnering with you will be fantastic, just because it's something very unique to this area. I mean, well, in the country even. So,
and it's good for you too. Just as far as Extreme Sandbox goes, I get people that fly in from all over the nation,
right,
all over the world.
Sure.
So that's good for me, trying to convince them or give them options of where lodging is close to these locations.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll make sure to send some visitor guides your way. So
that's how we do it. So what type of businesses benefit the best from joining it? Just hotels, or would you say any of the local attractions?
I think, for us, and like I said, we promote everyone. But yeah, the hotels, anyone in the hospitality community, restaurants, attractions. We have a great partnership with Bent Brewstillery in Roseville. They do a fantastic job working with us when we have bloggers come into town or just looking for something unique to do. So there's, we partner a lot with the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. I partner a lot with attractions in the Twin Cities areas. So, because it's a win-win for everyone. Like, as soon as I get someone to come and stay in our community, well, go to the Science Museum, go to, Extreme Sandbox, go to all these different things that the area has to offer, but come back and stay in our hotels.
Right.
So for us, it's great to partner with the attractions, advertising or doing promos for Facebook campaigns, or, so there's a lot of different ways you can partner with us.
What is the best part of your job, you would say, so far? What is the thing you lit up when I said that?
Yeah.
What is the best thing that you look forward to every day that you get to go in and do?
I love working with visitors and just my clients, because you're promoting a fun experience for them. For example, I work with a lot of motor coach bus tours, so with tour operators, and it's really fun to put together their 3-day itineraries. And I'm like, I am planning a trip for 57 people that are going to come to this area for 3 days and maybe have never been here before, or maybe it's been a while since they've been here. And I always have the pleasure of meeting these groups before they head home, because we do this program where it's a real nice meet and greet where I get on the coach and I give everyone a rose. Roses for Roseville. Kind of cheeky, but it works. And it's exciting just to, when I get on the mic and I'm like, well, how was your stay? Did you have a good time? And, you get the hand claps and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And, we had such a great time. And to know that I was part of that, to plan that experience, is very, very rewarding. So, and then our team is just awesome. Like, our executive director, Julie Wern, is, she's just really engaged in the community, and she always is coming up with just some really great ideas of, to take us to the next level. And Shannon, it works really well with her clients as well too. And then, like I said, we look forward to having Melissa on board. It's just when you work with a powerful team, it just makes things run like clockwork, So we're really, we're pretty independent, but also we work very well as a team too. Right. So it's fun. I mean, you're in an industry full of extroverts, so it's just like everyone's just like, so it's a fun industry. So yeah, that's why I probably stayed in it as long as I have.
And it makes it easier because you're surrounded by people that want to talk and
right.
want to be part of groups.
Right, exactly. Yeah. They just want to hear what you have to say, but they're also excited of new things coming up in the area. Like the Bell Museum is going to be opening up right in our backyard.
What is this?
So that is the Bell Museum.
Literal bells?
Yeah.
What's happening?
No, it's like the Bell Natural History Museum. Is it the History Museum? Sorry if I misquote.
I put it on the spot.
Yeah, I know. But they used to be located at the University of Minnesota Minneapolis campus, and they're moving to the St. Paul campus. But they're also building a brand new planetarium as well. So it's going to be right near Fairview and Larpenteur. And right at the edge of, where Gibbs Farm Museum is, like right across the street from that. So that will be exciting to have like a new attraction just right in our backyard. So, but it's also, there's just so much going on in this area. And, you have to applaud with hosting the Super Bowl, just bringing it to a whole new level of just exposure for this region and our state.
It was nuts.
Yeah, it was great. And, and hopefully that's just going to bring a lot of repeat visitors in the future. Probably not going to come in January, but or right. February, but that's okay. But it was just exciting to see, people bring awareness to this beautiful destination. So.
Well, you bring up a good point. We had Fox Sports come out.
Sure.
Just to bring awareness.
Right.
Just trying to understand what the coast thinks what happens in Minnesota. So they booked this event down at our Hastings location, and their meeting planner calls us and says, Adam, I've got a ton of questions. And I'm like, okay, we went through them. I'm like, can you just send me a quick email? I can answer them quickly. The first email is a bunch of pictures from Amazon of different types of North Arctic gear they need to wear.
Sure.
I'm just like, where do you think you're going? Yeah. We're not going on an Arctic expedition here.
We're not looking at penguins and polar bears.
Do we need to get these straps? I've seen them because we're from Minnesota, but it's like when you go ice fishing, there's these rubber pullovers for your shoes that have the little metal cleats.
Oh, yeah.
Do we need to get those? Do we need hand warmers? And I'm like, no, you're going to be in a building. You're going to drive by car, not dog sled. It'll be fine.
And it has heat. Yeah.
But, you can't say that back to them, but that's what their impression is
right.
of what Minnesota's like in February.
Right. Yeah.
So we did a good job. I'm sure you did the same thing of just sharing that information and empowering them to go, Minnesota's cold, but it's okay. You don't need to be aware of polar bears or anything.
Well, and I think a lot of people were impressed that we just keep going. You know what I mean? Because it was cold
stop.
And it was snowy, and my sister-in-law actually had one of her friends was out here as a meeting planner for the Super Bowl, and she just said to my sister-in-law, she's like, Annie, these people, they just get up and go. It's not like a big deal. It's -5, and they could care less, and they're out the door, and we're trying to figure out how are we going to handle this, and then it snows, but they don't stop. They just keep going. And I'm like, yeah, we're hardy. I mean, that's just what we do,
I had to laugh because we've got our location down in Texas as well. Well, this winter it got down to 34.
Oh, and I'm sure they were just freaking
So I
out.
got calls saying, are you guys still running today? I'm like, you're calling Minnesota right now. It's -10. We're still running. Yes.
Yeah.
Get your butt out here. Okay. Gosh, I love that. So to stay on topic, what is the biggest challenge right now for your association? What is the biggest problem?
I think you nailed it right in the head. It's just perception.
Just what's the perception?
Right. The perception of Minneapolis and St. Paul and in Minnesota in general is just that we're this igloo and it's always cold there, and
you can only visit 3 months out of a year.
Right. And it's just bringing awareness that, there's something to do here every single season, so that, it's, I think, just more of that awareness campaign. And then also
this Bold North thing is taken off.
I know.
It was on the national news just how we're embracing
right. And I think you have to when you live here. So like, I call it invigorating. So it's invigorating.
I call it cold.
Yeah, it's invigorating.
Some quick questions for us. Like we haven't even talked about this. How did we first meet?
How did we? You
showed up here. How about you give your impression of what happened, and I'll tell you what happened.
Stalking you, basically. And
good to know.
No, I'm just kidding. No, we heard through the grapevine that you were opening up in Rosedale.
Who's spreading these rumors?
I don't know. I can't say.
Okay.
So we were keeping an eye on it, and then the press release came out from Rosedale Center that you guys were coming on board, and we were really excited. So at that time, it was Lindsay, who was our social media manager, and myself. I'm like, we're going to Rosedale. And so we came in and introduced ourselves, and you guys were so gracious to let us like go on the equipment and have an experience, and it was awesome. And that's basically how we met. Like, we were just excited because this is something unique for us to promote too in this area. And it's it's not like there's one in every mall, or you know what I mean.
True.
And it was exciting that you selected to be in Rosedale and not like Southdale or Ridge. So you chose this location. Why did you choose this location? I'm curious.
Location.
Right.
We really liked the Roseville staff at the Rosedale Mall and what they said they could offer. I didn't have to wear khakis and go to the Gap. I felt very uncomfortable at some of the other locations. No, I just think it fits us better. It's closer to me as far as personally where I live, so it's easier for me to get here.
Right.
So I live up in the Mounds View area, so I was traveling to Hastings every day.
That's the drive.
Is a hike.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be a good fit with our location next to Herberger's here.
Right.
And we get traffic, and then all the expansion that's going to be happening in
Rosedale.
Rosedale.
It's exciting.
So we met with Rosedale. There's a bunch of top secret info.
Top secret.
But they are expanding an entire new wing at Rosedale Center that's going to be out of this world.
Yeah.
And we're next to that wing.
Yeah.
So that was huge for us.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, I remember when you guys walked in. We were super excited because some people walked in. Which was fantastic.
Customer number 5.
It was like our first day open or whatever. And then we were able to get you guys on some equipment.
Yes.
And you guys had a blast.
It was fun.
Your face hurt from smiling, so I remember that. You guys were just like on the mini excavators having a blast.
Excuse my language, but I felt like a badass. So
heck yeah, I liked that.
I mean, I did. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
I'm actually running stuff.
I'm like, the lawnmower is one thing, but this takes it to a whole new level. So
yeah, and then you introduced yourselves and saying you were from
the
Roseville Association or the Roseville Visitors Association, and you're like, our membership is free,
and you're like,
I'm like, how do we join that?
And like.
You could have.
That's
the only thing you could have said.
I know, right?
So and then that's how we met. So that was very cool. Really quick to wrap up. What is something that's always been on your bucket list to do?
Oh, travel-wise?
Yeah, because you've done so much and you've seen so much.
Yeah, I would just love to go to New Zealand. I think that would be awesome. Or Australia. I don't think that's going to happen for a really long time because I got teeny tinies at home. They're 4 and 6. I had kids later on in life. So they'll basically graduate and then I'll retire.
That's right.
That's how this is going to work. So, and then we'll just go to New Zealand. So that's the goal. So, I think traveling is big for me. And I think when you're in the hospitality industry, it's all about like traveling.
It's about the experience.
Yeah.
For me too.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to run a marathon again. I did 13.
Well, you can do this new 5K that's coming up to Roseville.
I can do the 5K too. Yes. So, I in my 30s, pre-kids, I ran marathons, and I'd like to do one more because that's just such a rewarding and challenging experience.
That's a good goal for you, probably.
It is, yeah. And then we just, and I think another bucket list item would be, world peace. So there you go.
Wow.
I know. There you go.
I'm going to second that.
Right?
What's a hidden gem that if people are traveling, a destination hidden gem in the Roseville area that they should go that they don't know about?
Oh, wow. There's a couple different.
Because I just found one too, so maybe you can help me.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, do you know that there is a boulder that represents...
I love the start of this story, by the way.
That there's
Okay.
a boulder that represents a halfway point between the equator and the North Pole. And it's located in Roseville. So I tell people not only are we perfectly positioned to Minneapolis and St. Paul, we're also the halfway point between the equator and the North Pole. And there's a boulder that proves it.
My mind just went.
Mind blowing.
Where is this boulder? Is it in somebody's backyard that you just found, or is it?
It's on Cleveland Avenue, and I can't believe I can't remember the cross street right now. But it's a rose there. Well, it's the 45th parallel marker, and there's the Roseville Historical Society Historic Trail. So there's little signs throughout Roseville of the history of Roseville, and it's part of the history trail. Yeah. But there's some fun facts too. I know.
Anything like
and
that.
did you know the first Target in the United States opened in Roseville?
Of course.
Yes.
I worked for Target for 13 years.
There you go.
I know about Roseville 1.
Yes, T1.
T1.
I know. So, but there's a lot of, our parks are really, Central Park is gorgeous. You have a lot with Bent Bruce Distillery, that's really unique to this area. I don't think a lot of people realize, like with our library, it's one of the most visited libraries in the state of Minnesota.
Yep, and it's beautiful.
It is. It's a gorgeous library as well, too. So, so there's, there's a lot of, as far as like local hidden gems, I would say the Harriet Alexander Nature Center is gorgeous. The Oval, of course, in the wintertime. I mean, it's truly a gem for the city as well too. So, but I just think our location is a gem within itself, just because it's so close to everything. So yeah. But you got to go check out the boulder though. So.
Here's my hidden gem.
Okay.
And now I'm getting stumped because I forgot the name of it, but I know the first word is flights.
Fantasy Flights. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
If you guys that are listening to this have not gone to this place, it is the coolest place I've been to this year, last year, by far. Have you been in there before?
I have. Yeah, it's located right across.
It's like 2 blocks from here.
Yeah, it's across from the Radisson Hotel.
It's right by Radisson. It's right by REI.
Yeah, and it's it's a cool little gem. It's kind of like for those comic Dungeons and Dragons type of So people. It's cool.
I walked in there because nerd alert. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons with my family. Anyway, but I walk in. First of all, I go into their parking lot. We need to get them on the show because just to figure out why this went big. Because it's huge.
Yeah.
The parking lot is full.
All the time.
All the time. Every time I drive past there, that is full parking. And I'm like,
it's like when you go to Apple. It's just like
something happening here.
Yeah.
So I follow it in. I walk in. I'm super nervous because I'm going into this geek domain that I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's got a beautiful coffee shop. You walk into a gourmet restaurant, where you take orders, and it's got a craft bar inside of it. And then it opens up into this huge expanse open area where it's just tables with people playing games. Monopoly or Dungeons and Dragons.
It's awesome.
And everybody there is it's all adults.
Right.
It's like an adult playground, just kind of like we are, with just board games.
Right.
And I go up to the counter, and I'm like, this is my first time hearing it. He leans over the counter, and he goes, "This is pretty cool, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is." And he's like, "I love this place. Welcome." And I'm like, I got goosebumps. I'm like, "Heck yeah." And he's like, "You'll be back." And I'm like, "Yes, I will."
So when you're not here, you're there.
Well, just because it's so neat. And it's like you have this perception of what a comic book store is. Or it's a bunch of nerdy guys with neck beards sitting around a card table, just doing, but it's not. It was every race, color, creed. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So that is my super hidden gem in the area
that's great. Thanks for bringing that one up because that's a good one.
I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
So Well, good. Well, we will wrap up. Where can people find you, Carrie, or Roseville Travel Association?
Sure.
Visitor Association?
Visit roseville.com. But we're also located at Rosedale Tower, Suite 600. Check out our website, and there's great info on the area, our hotels, and we look forward to hosting you in Roseville. And thanks so much for having us on your first podcast.
You are going to be super famous.
Woo! Exciting.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie.
All right. Thanks. Cool.
Yay, we're done.
Thanks, guys.
We did it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for our first ever podcast. And then also special thanks to Carrie Ford. She did an amazing job and took a huge leap of faith with us to be our first ever podcast interviewee. So thank you so much, Carrie. Please remember to check in and check out us on Facebook and social media. You can check out Extreme Sandbox at extremesandbox.com. Also, we have an amazing vlog series, so please check that out at YouTube.com/Extreme Sandbox. And then please help Carrie out. Please check her out at visitroseville.com. And thank you again for everybody for tuning in. Please let us know down below any comments, questions, concerns you guys have about the podcast or who you'd like to see. We'll have a good one. We'll see you next week.